So, welcome everyone to All In on Real Estate. I'm your host, Aaron Goins. I decided to make a meetup because when I was in the military, no one in my circles talked about real estate. A lot of times we talk about debt, we talk about taxes, we talked about stocks and bonds, but nothing about real estate. So I wanted to have a meetup where people can learn about real estate, the different niches of real estate, and build generational wealth for them and their family. So I'm very, very excited for our guest speaker. Hello, Alicia. How you doing? Welcome.
Thank you, Aaron. It's great to be here. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. So I know the story, but you got to share with the attendees and the YouTube world. So can you just talk why you got into real estate and just a little bit about your journey?
Sure. Why I got into real estate, pretty interesting to me, probably only, but it seemed like everything that I did professionally always led me back to real estate. And sometimes, actually, growing up, I always would say God is funny because we always have a certain mindset of what we're going to do, where we're going to go. And we've already mapped a plan out for our life. And so I did. I said, okay, I'm going to graduate from college. I'm going to get married. I'm going to have some kids and, live this glorious life, right? And so that wasn't necessarily what was in my path. My first professional job was at the Pasadena Board of Realtors, where I was introduced to the real estate profession. I was the receptionist there, and all the realtors were just quirky people, which was intriguing to me because I always thought I was going to be an attorney. I always was like wanted justice for everyone who had been wrong. I'm an underdog cheerleader, so I love all that. And then when I graduated college with a human resources degree in business administration, I thought I was just applying for an office job. I saw a small little article in the newspaper way back when they used to print them. And it said, executive assistant, gave me a phone number to call, called that number, sent my resume, mailed my resume. And when they got it, they called me for an interview. And where their interview was at the Rose Bowl Stadium. And at the Rose Bowl Stadium, I was an executive assistant to the luxury suites manager, where he showed me how to lease luxury suites, which that's commercial real estate. So I did that for a time. When he became the general manager, I took over that role as well as the director for human resources. So that was really fun. I worked several days, but it was a really cool opportunity for me. But that's when I learned, the financing aspect of it, how to take care of a property and run a team. So when my husband and I decided to move here to Arizona, which is where I'm at now, and we've been here since 2003, I got into the representing the ownership standpoint and taking care of commercial property there. Everything you can think of to running a building and an office, I did. And also from that point, I got into the actual brokerage part of the business, because that I thought at the time was really where the money was. And, we all as investors know a little better than that. But I learned the business in greater detail and more of commercial property management. And, anything that could happen in the building outside of a building falling and crumbling, I probably have addressed, which just intrigued me a lot about real estate. And I wanted to know why people said you can leave a legacy with real estate. So in my research, my husband and I learned that, ownership is really where we want to be. And throughout our life, we've always helped youth, youth that have been in behavioral health, who've been displaced, who've been in group homes. We've always been able to assist them. And my husband's in behavioral health, and he is a specialist, so behavioral health specialist. And we said, what can we do to combine both of our worlds together? And we said, what we are noticing, and I have a friend that got emancipated at the age of 15. And so she was off on her own. She didn't know how to budget. She didn't know a lot of things. And if some of you know, sometimes children that are in the foster care system are just seen as a dollar amount or some monthly income. And when they reach the age of 17 or 18, sometimes they're kicked out and they're not taught anything. And so my husband and I wanted to create an atmosphere where, that children and youth who are in that type of framework have an opportunity to learn to budget, learn how to earn real estate, and really have a better head on their shoulders. And in combination with that, my husband served in the military. He was in the Army. Hoorah, he says. For all of you Army bucks out there, I know Aaron's not that. All right, Kenneth.
Whoa. Kenneth, slow down, Kenneth. Don't hurt yourself. Don't hurt yourself.
Thank you for that, Kenneth. We said there's so many vets that have been underserved as well. And in our church, he was stationed in Killeen, Texas, where he was under Christian House of Prayer. And I know that you guys have had folks on the show that are familiar with the area. But in that, we gained just a lot of relationships and respect with the veteran community because he is a vet himself. And I know how hard it is for the vets and for their spouses. And a lot of people don't know, that when you serve, you have to serve for a certain time frame and then you get all these benefits. And so with that, we wanted to make sure that veterans were made aware of the opportunity to earn and have real estate. A lot of service members go in at a young age, right? Because they're kind of fleeing whatever situation or circumstance they're in, and they still don't know how to budget and manage their money. And when you're getting paid, in the service, you don't know what to do with it. And so we wanted to mirror the environment for the youth to also create an opportunity for veterans here in Arizona. And being on these calls and a few others, I've had an opportunity to enhance some great relationships with folks that have served and folks that are serving veterans, which Rhonda has been such an angel through it all. We're going to be bringing out some programs here to help veterans get on their feet, at least the ones that want to, right? Because you can always help someone who doesn't want to be helped, but you can be there when they're ready. And so that's pretty much my story in a nutshell. I was going to start off to say I wasn't supposed to be born and now I'm here, which is why I pushed so hard. That's the truth, by the way. The doctor said my mom couldn't have kids and she had me and my sister, which is really cool. And so I knew I was meant to be here and I was meant to help serve and to help people. So as I'm accomplishing my dreams, I want to make sure that I'm helping others accomplish theirs. So I would say, to anyone who's watching this, to anyone that's out there, there's hope for everybody. Whatever you want to do, stay focused and get it done. So that's all I have. No, if you wanted me to share anything else.
Yeah, well, yesterday you really start spitting a lot of knowledge. I was like, man, man, you got to save this for the meetup.
I know, right?
So,
I do better with question and answer, so let's go there.
Okay. So, I got asked this on a podcast today, and I'm gonna ask you the same thing. For veterans, for people in the military or spouses, things like that. Why do you think commercial multifamily is a good thing for them?
For the veterans?
Yeah, for veterans.
That's an interesting question. I think that it's a good thing for veterans because it's another piece to have something working for you that you've worked for that is going to provide income for you without you really having to do much. You've already worked, to get the VA benefit. So why not get paid while you're providing shelter to someone else? And so when people say, hey, the American dream is to get a home, right? That is the American dream. But that's in like a little box. And so we're taught to stay in this little box. Well, I don't think everybody belongs in that box. A lot of times we got to think outside of the box. And I think that's what Mr. International always talks about too, is thinking outside of the box and to make sure that even though owning real estate is the American dream, you can get multifamily, which is still real estate, which is still the American dream. But instead of having one working for you, you can have 3 others also working for you. So when you get out of the service, let's just say that you retired and you were in the service for 20 years. Well, retirement means to go out and enjoy your life, right? To go have fun because you guys had to get up at a certain time, go to bed at a certain time, do certain things. Now you work so hard for that freedom, you want to be able to keep that freedom. So instead of having to go to a regular W-2 job, a regular 9-to-5 job, there's nothing wrong with that. But instead of having to go do that, invest in real estate to where that can work for you. So if you choose to do a W-2, you can. And when you want to go on vacation working a W-2, you don't have to feel like you're going to get fired if you want to take a break. So that's what I would say to that.
Okay, I love it. I love it. So yesterday we was talking about taxes, and we were talking about Rhonda really. Hold on, Desmond. I got a couple more questions for you, but I got you. But we were talking about taxes. We talking about things. Trying to help each other out. What do you think in your journey has really stood out that made you realize, like, man, I want to do this for the rest of my life? Like, this is I'm going to make it with this in this industry no matter what. I'm not going to turn my back on this industry. I'm going to move forward regardless.
Yeah, so and as you guys see how I answer questions, probably not the typical way. I just think a little differently. And so my mom would tell you I've always thought different. I never thought I was supposed to be in a regular job. I always thought a regular job is what we're supposed to do, but not in the regular sense. I never liked working on Fridays. I wanted to get up and do whatever I wanted to do and then go into the office and do whatever I wanted to do, right? So in working all of the positions that I've worked, which were some pretty tough positions, I've had challenges, right? Especially in the last few positions I've had, I've worked so hard that it wore down my immune system, and I was getting sick every quarter. And the last few quarters, I got really, really sick, and it made me start thinking of, oh my God, I'm too young for this. I have kids. I don't want this to be, and I don't have a legacy yet. I don't want this to be a burden for them. I don't want to leave them with bills. I don't want to leave them with seeing their mom sick and that be the last thing that they see. This cannot be it for them, right? And I don't want them to fall into that same track. And so in our research, we were like, okay, what is the best thing? Like, God, where do you want us to be? What do you want us to do? What is the most consistent thing that's been happening in our life? And real estate was the thing, right? And then you see Trump, and then you see a lot of millionaires who own real estate. Well, why do they own real estate? Because it keeps its value. Even if it goes down like stocks, it's gonna go back up because people have to find somewhere to live. So I'm like, okay, well, that's something that's consistent, because even if the value of the property goes down, that's someone else that's saying that, right? Someone else is saying the value of the property is going down. But my property is not necessarily the value of it, meaning the property is in poor condition. So it always has an opportunity to go the other way. And I was just like, you know what? When it comes down to, if you lose your job, you still need shelter. This is the one consistent thing. So it just made sense. And I was like, this has to be it for us, because you can only go bigger and bigger and bigger.
Okay. Okay. This next question, I can talk about this question for a good hour. What have you learned in 2021? And also include commercial multifamily with the one you co-host at times on Tuesday. So what have you learned in 2021, and what have you learned from that meetup as well that you co-host with Daryl?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, for me in 2021, I have to go back to 2020, because 2020 was a big year, probably for all of us, right? That was a year where we were sitting down thinking, this cannot be it for us. You know, the income is going like flat line, right? That one straight line is just going like that. And I know that that's not for us. What can help boost us? And we formed a group with KW. So as you guys can see, let me see, right there on our pillows. We formed a group with KW. I'm a KW agent that focused on investing and focused on unity. And as we got connected to the people that are in the group, which Daryl Murphy Sr. is one of them, he runs the platform Commercial Multifamily Masterminds that I'm a part of. And we have some other investors that, and you guys have attended. He was hosting that group. And so I was intrigued by that, because my grandparents own real estate, my parents own real estate. So I always thought, okay, the thing is, you own real estate, but owning real estate is not it. You have to advance and enhance what you're owning by scaling up, right? Because we always talk about that, but not just scaling up. There's a meaning behind it. Why are we here? There's a purpose. And how do we get to the purpose and still make an impression in the world? So 2020, 2021, I had to really figure out, what is that why? Why am I doing this? How do I get there? And so when I realized my why, everything else started to click into place, and more different people that would help me with those pieces that I couldn't fill in were coming. And so between 2020 and 2021, and thank God for the internet, because I've been able to connect with multiple people. Even attending the motivational mornings on Mondays was even great through Angels meetup. Just talking with different people really helped in my education, and that streamlined all of these big goals and opportunities that we wanted to do and helped us focus on those two, which is the youth and helping vets. And so that's really what I've gotten out of this year. So our focus next year is focused on getting it done. We had some lofty goals this year. And we really had to figure out and learn. And we learned a lot from others' mistakes, and going to these groups helped us learn, right? So that we don't duplicate those mistakes. So that's really what 2020 and 2021 was, helping us fine tune our focus on what we wanted to focus on, and helped us to make those relationships. And what I learned to do this year was capital raise. And that really got me connected to talking to like some people that I hadn't talked to since high school, and even family members, which is good. So we're making those stronger relationships, and we're creating a community, which is going to help us create the opportunities for others that just aren't there yet. So hopefully that answered your question.
Hey man, it's your journey. So absolutely. Talk to me about partnership. Why is that such a big thing in your life?
Man, that, partnership, as I was explaining last night, we have partners in everything we do, right? My mom and dad had to partner up just to have me and my sister, and you guys that have kids had to partner with a spouse to have your children. And then in real estate, we honestly got to partner up with the seller to make the deal happen, and the brokers to make the deal happen. And so, this world was created for us to partner with it so that things grow and we can make things happen. Without a partner, it's a struggle. And, as the scripture says, when two or more are gathered in his name, God is in the midst. Well, when God is in the midst, some awesome things can happen. So when we look at things and how, like, I can't even explain how my husband, like, we bought a house in 2009, right? It was our first house. We were so excited. It was just amazing. I was making a lot of money. My husband was making a lot of money. And I think 3 or 4 months after we bought the house, I got laid off. I was like, what the heck? What's going on? And I've never not had a job since I was 15 and a half. Since I was able to start working, I've never not had a job. And that was a new territory for me, right? And had we not partnered our faith together, I don't see how we would have made it, because how we were able to pay bills, I can't tell you where the money came from. My husband got laid off the year after. And when we did get employed, it was substantially less than what we were making. And we already had this house. So we had to seriously discuss and be in one accord with one another in order to keep progressing. And I'm telling you, without having a partner, it's really tough. So for those of you that think that you can do it by yourself, you probably can, but it'll be some rough roads that are unnecessary. So I would say hop on these calls. If you know Aaron, if you know Lawrence, Fred, Rhonda, Claudia, Nicole, Kenneth, Desmond, Angel, If you know any of us, hop on the call with us so that we can help you through your journey, because we're not here just trying to make money for ourselves. We're trying to leave a legacy, and you guys are a part of that legacy. Also, I'm going to read something for you. Partnership helps you stay motivated, engaged, and have support to tackle the larger projects. So think about that. So, example, you use your VA loan not to just purchase a home, a single family house, one dwelling, one family, but to purchase a multifamily property, which is something larger that you can tackle with a partner, a spouse, a friend, another veteran, because there's some powerful stuff when you partner with another veteran. So think about that. You can help yourself and another family. So that's what partnership means to me. You're muted.
Yeah, got somebody called me up, so I had to. One final question. I see that it's starting to pile up with another person answering it, raising their hand. So, um, where do you see yourself in 2022? If you look back a year from now, where do you want to see yourself in 2022?
Yeah. So we want to personally be owning 3 multifamily properties. That's a huge goal for ours. Our team owns a couple, but we want to make sure that we personally own it. And my whole desire, quite just all transparency, I want a building for each of my kids. I want a building that's going to fund vacations. I want a building that's going to fund me being able to give back to our community. So when you see people giving backpacks to a school one time, I want to be able to, partner with my church, which our bishop, he has some lofty vision goals, and adopt a school. And whatever that school needs that's in that community where our apartment buildings are, we want to be able to be that resource for them. I wish TJ was here because I didn't get an opportunity to share that last night.
It was funny too. She called me right afterwards and we talked. We talked for like a good hour. Almost. But yeah. And she loved the clubhouse room. And I wish you guys all joined us yesterday. We had a great conversation yesterday about, like I said, we talked about taxes. We talked about just legacy. And I think that maybe that's something we can talk about more on the after party for this meetup. So a little bit more about text and what you guys' thoughts are. So look, I'm not gonna hold our attendees up. I know you'll drop a lot of jewels already. It's talking about your journey and partnership and things like that. So I will hand it over to our attendees. So Desmond, you're the first person to raise your hand. Please ask your question, sir.
Thank you so much for your testimony and your story. What has been the biggest challenge dealing with people? Maybe it's understanding or knowledge or fear. What has been the biggest challenge? And part of my question was also, what was your biggest challenge for yourself to make you uncomfortable? But I hear you're gonna go for multiple family properties, so that's already answered.
Mm-hmm. So my biggest challenge here doing the investments initially was just learning the aspect of getting to the opportunity in order to submit an offer. I knew financials. I can read financials. I can talk about financials. But how do you get to those actual numbers, right? And you may think that it's just dropping in some numbers that you get from a broker into a spreadsheet, and then it magically produces other numbers. And, through this process, I learned that it's way more than that. And there's a lot more involved in underwriting than I ever thought, because I've always used the systems. And what is taught in the commercial multifamily masterminds, that's every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, is, and we could drop an invite in the chat. And then you can put that right, Aaron, on your YouTube channel. I'm blasting you right now.
Sure. Yeah. It's the plug.
Just underwriting, because you got to know every aspect of that opportunity so that you could be able to share it with your investors and make sure that you know it. So that was one of the challenges. I've always, at least I thought I was always pretty good at math, and that called my number earlier this year. I'm much better at it now. But that was one of my challenges. The second one, as it relates to interacting with people, I've always had positions to where I've had to interact with people. Me, quite honestly, if you ever ask me what I want to do, I want to snuggle up by the fire next to the beach and maybe not always read a book, but watch a show. I like being by myself, crafting and creating. So it was making a conscious effort to reach out to people. I love being around people. I love people. I think people are unique. But when you go to ask people for money or, share money related opportunities, people act a little different. So that was quite special to learn and to do.
Was you afraid to offer? You're making your first offer. Did you have trouble making your first offer or knowing what you wanted to offer them?
I did not, and maybe because I do have that real estate experience. Okay. So I knew the knowledge behind it, so I know how to overcome objectives. Plus, I like to negotiate.
No, not the properties. I was talking about the investors.
Yeah, I think of it as negotiating, right? Okay. So if you tell me no, that's my opportunity to overcome that no, because I know that you don't have everything that you need or want in this life, right? And I know that having a real estate opportunity can help you with that. So for me, it's fun to say, well,
you're doing us a favor, huh? Okay, got it.
Yeah, I'm doing you a favor. Then we can do each other a favor and partner together on this deal to get it done and then move on to the next one, So that's how I look at it.
All right, Angel Williams, and I know, hey, she can share about you how people act different when they ask for money. So, go ahead, Angel.
Yes.
Yeah, no, people. It's I'll just leave it like that. Yeah. So when you were talking about veterans partnering up, it kind of put this thought in my head: Can veterans partner up and both use their loans to buy something bigger than 4 units?
Every single one of those properties are.
You cannot buy anything larger than 4 units with your VA loan.
Yeah, because it's commercial. Yeah.
Yet, correct.
I was just wondering if they could. How cool would it be if they could partner their funds and buy commercial?
Correct.
Because I have friends that every time they PCS, I'm like, dude, you be buying a house every single time. And then whenever you PCS, make it a rental. And they're like, oh, we can't do that. I'm like, yes, you can do that. Refinance it, put it in a traditional, and then use your VA loan on the next one too.
Yeah, but buy a quad or a duplex. I say quad because you're gonna work just as hard with a
Well, I
quad
didn't
as
I
you
didn't
do a
know about the
duplex.
quad thing. Like when I was
Oh
first telling my
yeah,
friends, all I knew was you could get a house. But then
but
when I
see,
found out,
okay,
yeah, to get a quad though, I mean, if you had a quad at every single place you were stationed,
yeah,
and while you're living there, the government's helping pay part of your mortgage. So it's like the only time in your life that that your own personal home will be considered good debt because somebody else is paying for it.
yeah, yep. Yeah, and I would say, even think about this. So when you think about leverage those two loans because I believe that you can purchase a larger property. I think that's so you can leverage your VA loan to buy a more expensive property as long as you can afford it and you qualify for it with your lender. You can do that, but look at a quad that has land to it, right? So when you have land or some additional space to where you can build, when it's time for you to move or when you're ready to go to another property, you can take your VA loan out of that property, get a conventional loan, right, on that property. And in combination with that, why don't you get a construction loan so that you can build on that property and turn that 4 unit into a 6 unit or however many units. Maybe you can build up instead of just always out, right? There's always, I encourage you guys, whenever you come into a situation or a circumstance or an opportunity, try to think how you can maximize it.
Just to put in an addendum to that, you can purchase more than
Hey,
four.
Kenneth, thanks a lot, buddy. Let me mute you. Okay. Claudia, overseas investor. If you have a question, please ask.
Alicia.
Hi, Claudia.
You mentioned like buying a property, like for your kids or buying a property if you want to, use it like the funds for like travel or, donate and stuff. So that's like what Robert Kiyosaki, I think he told his wife that if she wanted to buy like a car or something to buy a property and then buy a car from like the profits and stuff. So that's a really nice concept. For you, like who are your mentors as far as like did you ever pay for like coaching like in real estate or anything to help you like progress in the field or not so much? I'm just curious. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Claudia. And real quick before I answer that. So I know that Kenneth was saying that you can purchase more than a 4 unit. The way that you can do that is if there's an office, but that office can't have its own separate address. It has to be a residential property. But I am not a lender, so make sure that you talk to a lender about that. So that's one caveat. But to answer your question, I've been really blessed to the positions that I've been in. I've had mentors in that position. And as Aaron and I were talking when I came on the call, one of my mentors just passed away and I heard about it shortly before this call started. So, prayers and blessings to his family. He was amazing. And that mentor helped me get over the hump of commercial real estate as a whole. It was really hard a couple of years ago because there weren't people that were helping women. There weren't people that were helping minorities. There weren't a lot of people that were doing that. And with what happened last year with Mr. Floyd, a lot of people pointed their focus towards the minority population and wanted to reach out. And so, we just leveraged that opportunity. So in that, I had Mr. William Yarbrough, pardon me, that helped me through that journey. I'm sorry. And then I also had Daryl Murphy that helped as well.
So sorry, that's tough.
No, that's, yeah. And so as I was telling Aaron, I came on the call to honor Bill because he would be so upset if I missed the call and missed the opportunity, because he would always say, girl, go for the deal, go work for that deal, you know? And that's how I go in life, knowing that I wasn't supposed to be here, or it wasn't planned for me to be here. You know, with the doctors, there was an ultimate plan for me to be here, so I pushed harder. And so when it didn't seem like there were opportunities, there was always someone placed in my path to help, right? And so I'm very thankful for Bill, and I'm very thankful for Daryl. I did take Daryl's mentorship program. That is available to many investors that want to know more about real estate. So if you do, reach out to me, and I will give you his contact information. He's a military vet. He's an honest person, and he serves hard, but he's very passionate about teaching people how to advance in life that don't think that they can, right? Because not everybody thinks that they can do it. But we that have been a part of Aaron's meetup and Lawrence's meetup and Angel's meetup, and Claudia, I adore you on your Instagram channel. It's been amazing, you know, and David's meetup. So there's so many people that are out there that are willing to help. You may not always have to pay up front, which is cool, but you always want to give back in your service. So if you're not paying them, then see how you can help them advance their platform, right? And so that's all I have to say with that. And pardon me.
So personal. So thank you for sharing it. I'm sorry you're going through this. That's wow.
Thank you, Alicia, for sharing that, really.
Yeah.
Sorry for your loss of your mentor and friend, I'm sure. Kenneth, you got a question, Kenneth?
No, I mean, I'm just enraptured by the story, but, you know, I think the great points you had, it was always good to ask for help, or, you know, if you're just out there being active, giving back, help will find you sometimes. So you never know where your next help or your mentor come from, and you don't know what you can give back or mentor someone else. So just go out there, be active, and, you know, and you know, and try to give back and try to give yourself as much as possible. I think it's a great message.
Okay, well, thank you, Kenneth, for that insight there. Rhonda, you there, Rhonda?
I'm here. I'm here. How you doing?
You have a question? You have a question? I'm co-hosting for a second till Aaron comes back.
I see. You look great in that position, sir.
Thank you very much, Rhonda. Thank you.
Alicia, you have my condolences and my prayers and my thoughts on the transition of your mentor. Definitely, I can see the heartfelt bond that you all had. I did actually have a question that was pertaining to your comment about encouraging our veterans to get quads, whereas you didn't mention too that everybody is not ready for it. And I would definitely say that that is absolutely accurate, because some of us are not, I won't say not able, but it's a challenge when you're with people and dealing with people and you have not done that before. So I know I entered into, as an investor, realtor and landlord, just jumped on in. I had no choice because I had already purchased a property and I was very young. I was 23. So my question to you is, do you believe it's wise that they get some type of training and mentorship first before they jump in there and get a quad, knowing they have 3 other personalities, maybe 6, 7, who knows how many in the family, that they would probably more than likely have to deal with. What's your suggestion?
Yeah, that's a great question, Rhonda. Yes, I do think that they should get training. You know, we got training just to learn how to ride a bike, hold a fork to feed ourselves. And so just those basic things, if we're getting training on that, absolutely you should get trained before owning any real estate. There's so many people that are going into bankruptcy out there, right? And it may sound bad, but people make a living. And when you go into bankruptcy, there's someone that's there that saved their money, that made smart choices, smart decisions, that is waiting for you to go into bankruptcy so that they can buy your property, right? So you don't want to have a setback just trying to get set up for advancement. That you don't want to put the cart before the horse. You want to make sure that you know as much as you can in order to make informed decisions. So get a mentor, be a part of these organizations and programs. Make sure that you have a partner. When Aaron asked that question before, having a partner doesn't always mean that you're in a legal agreement with them. It's an accountability partner, someone to help you make, smart choices and better decisions. I always tell my kids, they say, Mom, let me make my own mistake. Well, that's stupid. Why would I let you make the same mistake I did? You're going to make mistakes. Make your own mistakes. Don't make the same mistakes I did, I want you to go further than I did. In order for you to go further than I did, you got to start further than I did. And so that's what I would say to any of the vets that want to own property. If you're going to own your first property for the first time, link up with someone else that has owned multifamily properties, not necessarily multiple properties, but multifamily properties, if that's what you want your first purchase to be. You can always buy a single family, nothing wrong with that. When you buy your single family, stay in it if your goal is to increase your real estate portfolio. Stay in it for a year while you're using your VA loan. Get it set up for you to turn it into an Airbnb, right? Angel just says she's being successful at renting her single families. There you go. There's a contact for you. Claudia has properties. Everybody on this line does. So link up with someone that's educated and knows it. No one thinking any less of you. Get your information, go be successful. The one thing that I do want to say is, if you're going to own real estate, I would say hire a property manager. There's property managers out there. They know what they're doing. They know the laws. They know how to get people in and out of your properties, and they are there to protect you. I would say also get a real estate attorney. I didn't just say any old attorney. I said a real estate attorney. A real estate attorney understands and they're educated in the art of real estate, because there's certain things that you have to know and do to protect yourself in advance before you go and own real estate, because you don't want to get into a predicament where you lose your shirt, your mama's shirt, your kid's shirt, your husband's shirt, because you made a stupid decision that could have been prevented just by asking a question. So just make sure that you do those, just a couple of things. It may cost you $2,500 in advance.
Oh man, I forgot the money.
But when you're collecting $7,500 in rent, that $2,500 is not going to be a big deal. So that's what I would say to that.
Can I have your favor? Can you tell me, I done sit up there, left my purse at the office.
Rhonda,
Can you tell me
You're
how
not
much-
on mute, Rhonda.
Oh, my goodness.
Rhonda, you gotta mute
Oh,
yourself.
I'm not on mute. Okay. I'm in the post office.
I couldn't mute her because Aaron didn't make me co-host. I'm like, Ron, it's funny you said that, Alicia, because here in the city, and this probably has other services like that nationwide in the States. And here it's called Neighborhood Housing Services, NHA. And if you want to be a first-time home buyer here, I don't know if they have something like that over in Arizona, other states. But here, when I was working, I just tell these people, listen, okay, you're here for your first year. Okay, you need to pay your bills, whatever you got to do. The second year you're in transit, after you get your probation over, you're going to go to Neighborhood Housing Services, tell them you're a first-time home buyer, and they have a class for first-time home buyers.
That's right.
And therefore, they talk about finances, everything under the sun, right?
Yep.
So they're going to help you understand the part of being a owner, whether it's a single family or multifamily. That's a good thing. Everybody needs to get trained before they go, because sometimes people think make people think this is something easy to do until the guy doesn't want to pay his rent, till something breaks, then you go like, oh, why? So that's a good point. Get trained. I think everybody needs to get trained.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say, you brought up a good point, is make sure a part of that team, that partnership that you have a good accountant, a CPA. And if you need one, I have a really good contact that Aaron and I were talking about last night. They will help keep you out of trouble if you listen to what their advice is. But they will line you up, help you with taxes, and a bunch of other things. But just, make sure you have at least those 3 professionals a part of your team. You don't always have to hire them. A lot of the good ones will provide you free information so that you can get ahead and actually make some income. And when you make the income, then you can hire them. And then guess what? It's a business expense. You'll get the money back. So there you go.
You get to deduct tax preparer service money anyhow.
There you go. There you go.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Great, ask Fred. Kenneth, did you already ask a question already? Okay, he gave me the thumbs up. Okay, so what about
Lawrence took over your duties for you and performed admirably. So you can go back. Well, I think we'll call the Lawrence Laddie hour number 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks a lot, man.
Just make sure you give him co-host abilities next time. That way he can really be on top of it.
And he can mute you too. Yeah.
Right. He can mute me. Right. I think this is the revenge of Kenny Hines. You know what I'm saying? Because at the start of the year, I always mess with him. Now he's starting to have a little bit more fun and mess with me now. So, I might gotta, take the reins back with this one. But ever since he's been on ADPI's podcast, I've been really lenient on him now. So he's superstar now. I don't want to mess with a superstar. But anyway, look, we're gonna go to the after party. So
I didn't get to ask Fred the question, but if he had a question, that's what I was saying.
Looks like Fred is on mute. So we can go to the after party and Fred. Oh, you on here, Fred?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I was trying to juggle a few things. I think as I was hearing the end of that conversation, it reminded me of a quote. I think it's the partner you choose will dictate your outcome and your income. So I like the the highlighting the fact the people you need on your team to be successful. So that was a good. From a family perspective, I don't know. I was kind of in and out. The other quote I like is you give your kids enough to do something, but not enough to do nothing. Is there anything you do differently with your family to make sure it carries on?
Oh yeah. 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 With my family, we talk about money a lot. We talk about spending. Because I used to joke when I was younger that my parents taught me how to spend money. You know, and not necessarily always how to save it. But my mom was a saver, so I did learn that from her. Um, but with my kids, I tell them the reasons why they should save and what could happen if they don't, right? And back when I told you that both my husband and I got laid off, they remember some of that, right? It was not always easy. We were able to, keep a roof over our head. We were able to keep the utilities on. But they understand money. And what I did with them, which I did read Dave Ramsey's book. There's a lot of great principles in there. I don't agree with everything that he says. But what was a really good course that I went through was Tiffany the Budgetnista. So I don't know if you guys have heard of her. And also, oh gosh, I can't think of her name, but she's called the Frugal Creditnista. And those two ladies, I started listening to them during the time where I had just started back working. And I had to figure out how we could save money and how we can improve our credit. And those two things, we learned that your credit affects a whole bunch of stuff, and no one ever talked to us about that. And so me learning that, I bought the Budgetnista book for my oldest daughter who's 20. And she has an opportunity, and all my kids have had an opportunity to listen to these calls. They've listened to Lawrence's calls. They've definitely been on Daryl's Tuesday calls, and even Julie Peterson's nighttime calls, and this call too. So it has really shown them that there's more people that focus on trying to leave a legacy for their kids and why they're doing that. And when they learn why they're doing that, that put them into a much better position to where they're saving and they're thinking, okay, I got to own a building because I want to be able to travel and I want to be able to do, A, B, C, and D. So hopefully that answers your question.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So,
Bless you, Claudia.
all right, Claudia, happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Safe travels.
Safe travels, Claudia.
Yeah, absolutely.
I heard something really cool last night. There's this guy that my husband and I had an opportunity to meet, and he was talking about his house. And it's a 6,500 square foot house. So it's 5 bedrooms, 7 bathrooms, bonus rooms. And he was talking about how, I guess it's really ritzy. It's a really important neighborhood, I guess. But he was talking about how he wished that he had never spent that kind of money on that house because it would have been smarter to invest it. And that was really crazy because how many people wish that they could have a huge house with, a bathroom or a bedroom, a bathroom for every girl in the house for sure. But bedrooms, everybody gets their own bedroom, and you get these bonus rooms. Like you got a man cave, you got a mom hut, whatever. You've got all these bonus rooms. Everybody's got their own place. But at the end of the day, this guy had all that. And he was sitting there wishing he hadn't spent all his money on that. And I was just like, wow.
I heard a podcast where a guy was talking about he was in the military, and he said the same thing. The other thing, his was just flipped. He was sorry that he didn't keep the houses he bought while he was in the service. So I don't know, what you call that, Aaron, when you move from station to station? What's it called?
A permanent change of station. It's a PCS.
Oh, that's what that is. I was on PCS, permanent. Yeah. So that's what happened. He said he wish he had kept all of them that he sold, right? But it's funny you said something, Alicia, that I tell people also, because you know what, listen, real estate's not for everybody.
Right.
Real estate's not for everybody, but at least if you just come here and get some knowledge, you can see if it's for you or not. Because a lot of people, like I tell people, the fact when I was working, I tell people about Section 8. Oh, I don't like Section 8. That I hear about Section 8. Do you ever had Section 8 tenant? Somebody told me. Well, how's somebody telling you something? As everybody doesn't, they don't, you gotta be in it to get the information. And then you can make a educated, like Cy Sims. You don't know if you're familiar with Sims Clothing in the city. He said you will become an educated consumer, right? To make educated decisions about clothes. Same thing here. You gotta make educated decisions. Without just hearing from people. Well, I heard the angel said, does the angel got a house? No, she got 5 dogs. What they got to do the price of the houses?
Our bishop said, why are you letting a kindergartner leave a kindergartner? Why don't you go find somebody in high school or a college professor to follow after instead of another kindergartner?
Exactly.
You know what?
Mm-hmm.
What did you just say? I've heard that before. Not everybody, real estate's not for everybody, but I like to turn that around. Real estate's for everybody. You just gonna own it or you gonna be the tenant.
Mm-hmm. True that too.
You gotta live somewhere. Even if you living in a hut, somebody on that land.
No, if it was easy, and I say this all the time, if it was easy, everybody be doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm wondering where that house is, Angel, because that sounds like a nice Airbnb home that he can lease out for $7,000 a month.
But I think that like there's a politician on one side and a big time lawyer on the other.
Okay, so just pre-qualify the people that you have in there. Get another politician.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just
tell the TJ.
It just really, I mean, like, it was like such a shocker because I'm like, sometimes I'm like, we live in a 1,750 square foot house. 4 kids, got 3 girls in one room, our special needs son is in the other, and then we have one. I mean, it's for all of us, it's not big, but we had somebody tell us one time, he was like, it's a very short amount of time that it's going to feel small.
Exactly.
And so we've just been keeping it. I mean, we look like hoarders sometimes. Well, all the time. But
yeah.
I would love to have a big house. But then after hearing him say that last night, I was like, man, why do we need a big place? It makes more sense to invest that money and create that legacy.
I always thought about, so when I said I have my life planned out or mapped out, I always thought, okay, I'm gonna have a big house. We're gonna have like 7 to 8 rooms. Whenever people come into town, my husband, I always say he lives like a rich guy. He wants a car so that when we have guests, they could just drive their car. And while that'd be nice, I started thinking as we own real estate, oh my God. Here in Arizona, when we got our first $800 AC bill, I almost passed out. And it was not a big house. It was like 1,600 square feet, so that's when I learned, you got to weatherize your home. And then the next year it went down to 300, but that's a whole nother story. It just, when things happen in life, your situations and circumstances, you got to be thinking, okay, is this really it? How can we better this? Because there's always a way to do better.
Right. All right. So look, we'll keep it going, but we're going to sign off. We're going to, as far as the recording. So thank you guys so much. Keisha Kennedy will be our guest speaker next week, followed by Chantel. She'll be our last speaker for the year. So take care and God bless you guys.